This doesn't look like much, but it is a pretty capable gaming machine, and I built it for $139.12. This thing will handle esports titles and play most games as long as your expectations aren't through the roof. Today, I will be going over the exact parts that make up this ultra budget gaming PC, exactly how to build it and where to buy the parts. Then we will test it in games like Fortnite and Apex and see if something like this would be worth it for you in terms of your time and money. As you can see, this system just looks like your generic office PC, and it is. But with a few upgrades, you can play some games on it. The specific model I'm using is the HP Elite Desk 800G1, but this will apply to you if you have something like an Optiplex or a Dell XPS system as well. The HP Elite system has an i7-4770. It's a 4-core processor with hyper-threading. Yes, you're right, this is an old processor, but it has a lot of power considering its age. It also came with 16 gigabytes of RAM and a pretty useless 1TB hard drive. Not useless, but definitely will need to be upgraded. That brings us to our next parts. This is the Team Group T-Force Vulcan Z 512GB SSD, and I got this on Amazon. The last and final part is the GPU. I'm going with the RX 550 4GB version. Now hold your horses. You can definitely go with something a bit more powerful, but 1, I had this on hand. 2, it is pretty affordable. And 3, it doesn't need any external power from the power supply. Also, if you are going to go with the stronger graphics card, make sure your power supply will handle it, or you'll also have to pour more money into a new power supply. I paid $90 for the HP Elite Tower, $24.12 for the SSD, and a staggering $25 for the RX 550. Everything mentioned is linked down below with affiliate links. If you buy through the links, I get a small commission and it helps me out. Now let's build it in 2 very simple steps. Step 1, install the SSD. Your system might have an extra SATA data cable, but if not, just plug one in, then plug in your SSD with the other side of the SATA cable and also the SATA power cable, and bam, SSD installed. You can kind of just throw it in there. It has no moving parts, or you can opt for double-sided tape, or even better, screw it into place if your case allows. Mine doesn't, so it's just hanging in there. Step 2, installing the graphics card. Push back these 2 tabs here to open up the latch, remove the PCIe bracket, grab your GPU, line it up with the PCIe slot, and push it into place. You should hear it click or something. Then push the latch back, and bam, GPU installed. Now the system is ready to play games, but more likely than not, your system is dirty, so I recommend blowing out all the dust, wiping it down, and even applying fresh thermal paste to the CPU and GPU. Good thing I changed the thermal paste because my shit was crusty. They say RGB adds FPS. Sorry to break it to you, it's not true, but applying fresh thermal paste will definitely aid in better performance. And if your system has its Windows loaded onto the hard drive, simply install a fresh version of Windows. When you get to this screen, hit Shift plus F10, type disk part enter, type list disk, select your disk and hit clean. Then just select the SSD to load the new version of Windows on, and bam, no more slow computer. Let's talk about its performance. First game I tested was Fortnite at 1080p with performance mode enabled, and I was running it at medium-ish settings. In the battle bus, we're sitting above 100 FPS. Jumping out though is a different story. It dipped under 60 FPS, hitting the 30 range, but surprisingly it was smooth on the way down. Landing on the floor, it jumped back to 100 FPS, but then jumped around as everything was loading in. In the building, we're sitting around the 120 FPS mark, but as soon as we step outside, it takes a little drop, and I also take fall damage. And for some odd reason, destroying these crates caused a bad lag spike. Capping the game around 60 to 80 FPS might help with the stutters. So I was just running around trying to find somebody, and this boy shoots at me, so I had to engage. I pop him in the body with this rifle, get on this rock and blast him. He starts building, and I hit the escape key like a bot, but I jump over and dookie on him. Even with some minor lag spikes, I still managed to emote on this kid. I kept traveling, came upon some minis and a big pot, but then I got clapped. I would count that as a success. It averaged 96 FPS. Next game is Rocket League. This game should run smooth. I'm testing at 1080p with everything on high. I have only played this game a handful of times, so bear with me. Loading in, we're above 70 FPS, and we got scored on right away. And then we clap back and score right away. Luckily my teammate hit it. or else I probably would have hit it sideways. Yeah, it definitely would have went to the right. I was trying to go for a birdie, but my teammate hit it first. Then we got scored on again. They seemed pretty mad.
You bitch.
I saw an opening, your boy was being patient, and I came in and secured the goal. We ended up losing, but somehow I was at the top of my team's leaderboard. We averaged 77 FPS. Pretty good. I then ran a synthetic benchmark in Rainbow Six Siege. I tested it at 1080p with all high settings and it averaged 54 FPS. I wanted to try for at least 60, so I ran it again with auto detect settings and it averaged right above 60 at 61 FPS. Apex Legends was a different story. I first tested at 1080p with low to medium settings and it was hovering around the 30 FPS mark. It was pretty smooth, but obviously stuttery, which made it hard to track enemies. So then I tried 1600 by 900 and it gave us sort of similar results, except it was hovering around 40 FPS. The last test was 1600 by 900 once again, except this time with all low settings, and it was playable. Flying down, we're almost at the 60 FPS mark. I tried to bum rush this guy on the roof. Safe to say, without my teammate, I would have died. I haven't played in nearly 4 months, cut me some slack. At these settings, it was a bit hard to see at distance, but I still managed to beam this guy's face off, and we averaged 50 FPS. In GTA 5, I got this sick ass car, crashed it intentionally, and landed it. I'm testing at 1080p with normal settings. All high settings, we weren't averaging above 60, and with normal, we averaged 72 FPS. I tried to jump into the military base with this van, but that thing was so slow. So I welcomed myself through the front gates, instantly saw a tank. Guess they aren't too happy with van life. Made my way to the hangar, almost stole this jet, but got my back blown out. Is this PC worth it? Short answer, yes. I was pleasantly surprised with the performance. As you probably noticed though, the GPU was pinged at almost 100% throughout all the games, and the CPU wasn't working nearly as hard. That indicates a GPU bottleneck. And as I said, this computer can handle a stronger GPU, something like a GTX 1060, RX 580, even something like a GTX 1660 Super. I have all those cards on hand. Neither of them will fit in this case due to the USB 3.0 connector. So as you're shopping around for parts, shop wisely. So yes, this PC is worth it. It's great to get into PC gaming as you save up to buy something stronger, and then you can even sell this one when the time comes to upgrade. Just don't overcharge, no one likes that. Speaking of selling, I just released a website where I'm selling my computers and separate components. It's linked down below. As well as everything used in this video is linked down there as well, so be sure to check it out. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you loved it, and watch this video next to witness an insane $100 gaming PC.